Welcome to On the Rise, and with 2024 coming to an end, I thought there was no better time than to give you guys my top 5 ranked Canadian transfers of the year. We'll be ranking them in progression from 5 all the way to 1, giving you guys my best Canadian transfer of the year. And it has been a very exciting year for Canadian transfers, with 18 in total, whether from fringe players to youth players, all the way to Canadian stars, and it was a tough list to make. But with no hesitation, we'll jump straight into number 5. But before we do, guys, make sure to drop into the comments and let me know your top 5 Canadian transfers of the year, as well as your reactions to mine, and smash the like and sub button, guys, because all the support is always incredibly appreciated. But we're going to jump straight into number 5. My 5th ranked Canadian transfer of the year is Matthew Choinière. Matthew Choinière made a very exciting move for some Canadian supporters, as Matthew Choinière left his hometown club, his boyhood club in CF Montreal in the MLS, leaving the MLS behind for European football abroad, joining Swiss top flight club in Grasshopper for the fee of €900,000, which, looking at that fee, I think it's an absolute bargain for a side like Grasshopper. They're getting a 25-year-old Canadian international who has so much room to grow, develop, and especially grow within European football, and still has a very high ceiling, in my opinion, and is going to do a lot more exciting things under a Jesse Marsch style football at the international level as well. So Grasshopper truly getting a bargain deal, and they knew they could get that bargain deal with Matthew Choinière having contract talks not going his way with CF Montreal and always wanting to test his feet out in European football. It was a great steal of a price for Grasshopper. But when you're looking at this deal and looking at Canadian transfers, you have to look at club fits and if that move made sense for that Canadian player. Matthew Choinière's transfer, I thought, made a lot of sense. A lot of Canadians were very underwhelmed by the transfer, and I can understand that. He's not joining a massive club. He's not joining one of the bigger sides within one of these up-and-coming leagues in Europe. He wasn't joining an FC Basel, a FC Zurich, a Lugano within Switzerland, a side looking to challenge for the league. He joined Grasshopper, a side trying to fight to stay in the league and prove themselves that they're a Swiss top-flight club. And when joining Grasshopper, it was a very smart and thought-out decision from Matthew Choinière, because he knows he needs to get starting minutes and fight for a place in the Canadian national team as well as at the club level. And at Grasshopper, there was a clear pathway for him to get starting minutes and to be able to challenge immediately to start for a side in Europe. And he's not getting thrown into the deep end with a massive club that is demanding a lot immediately. He can learn European football, he can test his feet in the water, and he can adapt and get used to it through time, and then get challenged with Grasshopper, a side which are going to be fighting relegation later on in the season. As so far, Matthew Choinière has had a very consistent, a very decent season with Grasshopper, having 8 matches, 6 starts, 1 goal very early on his time in Switzerland, as well as 512 minutes, averaging a 6.78 match rating, which is truly Matthew Choinière style play. Very consistent, a very player who's going to give you a general style of play that you can always expect from him. And he's done that so far for Grasshopper, but I expect him to have a very big 2025. Not just at the club level, but also at the national team level, because going into 2025, he's going to have his feet under him. He's going to be used to European football a bit more. He's going to be more adapted to that style of game. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he does in 2025. But I expect a very breakout year for Matthew Choinière, both at the club level for Grasshopper, as well at the national team level for Jesse Marsch and the Canadian national team. But I have Matthew Choinière's transfer ranked at number 5 on the year for the Canaminti. Moving into my 4th ranked Canadian transfer of the year, and it was one of many Canadian French transfers we saw in 2024. Coming in at 4th, I have Theo Bair. Theo Bair had an absolutely tremendous 2024. As he left Scotland, left the SPFL, and left Motherwell behind, he headed off to France to join newly promoted Liga side in AJ Auxerre. AJ Auxerre were set to be a side who were going to fight relegation, to battle the stay in Liga, but that has not been the case since signing Theo Bair for a fee of €1.9 million. An absolute bargain at the time to sign a striker who was coming off an incredible season in the SPFL with Motherwell, where he was bagging goals for absolute fun, and of course was a 24-year-old Canadian international at the time and now 25. And also, To sign a player at 1.9 million euros these days is a steal, but also a player who is a stretch starting option to start at striker or in the near future, as well right now a current great option off the bench to be a big opposing figure to come on up top in an important game or just in general. So the fee was a smash out of the park for Theo Bair and AJ Auxerre. But what about the club fit? The club fit made sense completely in my opinion. Theo Bair was getting rumored and touted around all around Europe. Whether it's Celtic, Rangers, Bundesliga, Liga, he had all sorts of suitors. And he found a perfect position at AJ Auxerre. Right now, you might think, yes, he's not getting to the appearances, the starts to really suit that, to really resemble that. But in my opinion, he is. Theo Bair is coming from Scotland, and he needed a club where he could see a way to start, a way where he could eventually see himself in the starting lineup, just like Mathieu Choinière with Grasshopper. But Theo Bair saw a clear pathway and a clear pathway to start for this team. Yes, right now he is a backup option, but Theo Bair was looking at AJ Auxerre, a side newly promoted, a side looking to fight relegation. But this is now being a team that is having a tremendous season within Liga. Right now, battling for European places, AJ Auxerre are sitting in 8th place on 21 points in 15 games. Winning 2, lost 1, and drawing their last 2 games, even going out, beating Marseille, and drawing against the likes of Paris Saint-Germain. So the club fit for me made absolute sense. He knew they were going to be a side that might not be challenging for Europe, but that has completely not been the case this season, as they have been one of Europe's true Cinderella stories, battling for European places, not being a side that anyone would have really expected to be up there, but they made some great business, Theo Bair being a part of that. And yes, right now, looking at that transfer, if we're going to look at his appearances, look at how he's done for the club so far, he might be not too happy with his appearances, with his playing. But at 25 years old, Theo Bair, you could say he's in his prime, but he has so much room to grow, so much room to develop. And at 25 years old, he has showed a lot of promise in Liga. We got to remember, he is coming from Scotland. He was never going to hit the heights or be a true player who's going to start consistently every single game for AJ Auxerre. He's had 14 matches this season. That is incredible out of 15 opportunities. Started 4 of those, scored very early on his time at AJ Auxerre against Saint-Etienne, had 407 minutes. Yes, when you're looking at his average rating throughout the season, it's not great, but he's also getting 7, 20, 29 minutes here or there. He's getting garbage time. And he's been a great option off the bench to be that physical, imposing striker who can run in behind but also win aerial balls as well and has great hold-up. So Theo Bair, his move, has worked absolutely well for him in my opinion. Yes, to some Canadians, seeing him not start as much as they would have liked to, I can completely understand that. But was he ever going to start every single game? You're looking at a player coming from the SPFL in Scotland, not from Celtic or Rangers in Motherwell to Liga. That was just never going to happen. So this Theo Bair transfer is an absolute smash out of the park in my opinion, and I absolutely love this transfer. That is why it is ranked number 4 in 2024 for Canadian transfers in my opinion. At number 3, it may be a bit controversial and shock a few people, but I have Ismail Kone, as he left Watford for Marseille for a fee of 12 million euros. And that came off the back of an incredible performance for the Canadian national team against France in a friendly, which truly caught the eye of a lot of French clubs, and Ismail Kone earned that massive transfer. And you might think 12 million euros, that's not that big of a fee in terms of football these days, but in terms of Canadian footballers, 12 million euros is a huge fee. It's very exciting to see Ismail Kone leave the championship and leave Watford for an exciting program and an exciting opportunity under the likes of a new manager and a new regime in Roberto De Zerbi at Olympique Marseille. So it was an interesting fee to pay for Ismail Kone. But the club fit, did it make sense? I thought it was a very interesting fit because Ismail Kone does have a pathway into the starting 11. He's a young midfielder. They don't have a lot of that. He can play at the 10, which Marseille didn't have a lot of players who could play at the 10. And there is just a lot of older midfielders at Olympique Marseille as well. So it made a lot of sense for Ismail Kone to make that transfer, especially getting a lot of praise off the back of the new manager in Roberto De Zerbi, who thought he could be a very exciting talent. And yes, he's received a lot of flack from Roberto De Zerbi this season and trying to get him to truly show his talent, but injuries have really set back Ismail Kone this year, with his brand new club in Olympique Marseille. So that is another reason why he truly hasn't hit the ground running for the 22-year-old Canadian midfielder. And this year he's only had 7 matches for his new club, starting 3 of them and having 316 minutes. That comes off the back of having an incredible preseason under the new manager, catching the eye of a lot of Marseille supporters. But this is a great Marseille side that are playing tremendous football under De Zerbi in a very exciting fashion, having 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, sitting on 30 points in 15 matches played, only 7 points behind PSG. That's truly incredible. Trying to push the champions and the side that spends so much money compared to the rest of the league is not an easy task. And as Ismail Kone goes into 2025, he is going to be a player that I think a lot of Canadians might be looking at maybe getting a loan within January, maybe trying to find a new club on the back of that. But Ismail Kone is a lot of players that Canadians need to stick by. He has a big chance to have a breakout year within 2025. I think it's a huge opportunity. This Marseille midfield is not stacked by any means. Ismail Kone is a player who can play at the 10, he can play at the 8, he can even sit back and play as a 6. For some of you guys, that's center defensive midfielder, that's box to box as a central midfielder, and that is a 10 attacking midfielder. Ismail Kone can play anywhere within that midfield, and he has a true opportunity to break into that Marseille midfield. De Zerbi has been asking and crying out for that and breaking out for that in press conferences. We all know Ismail Kone is a star waiting to happen and a true talent, especially within Canada, and Roberto De Zerbi knows that as well. There's a reason he's putting pressure on Ismail Kone. That is why, along with Mathieu Choinière, I can see Ismail Kone having one of those seasons in 2025, both for national team and club level, where he just absolutely breaks through at the club level and truly proves himself. And I can see a big year in 2025 for Ismail Kone, and it's a very exciting transfer. That's why this transfer is really a boom or bust one. I don't think it's going to end his career, guys, if he doesn't do well with Marseille. Marseille is one of those clubs that are just chaotic. So if it doesn't go well, there's always going to be another move for Ismail Kone. But I think he has a great chance in 2025 to prove why this was a great move and to prove to his new manager that he is one of the best talents in Liga. That is why Ismail Kone is my 3rd ranked transfer of 2024 for Canadians. Number 2 might be one of the most surprising Canadian transfers we've seen in recent years. At number 2, I have Derek Cornelius, who left Malmo FF in Sweden, swapping it out for French top flight football, as he joined the new project under Roberto De Zerbi at Marseille, along with Ismail Kone, teaming up for the Canadian duo. It was an incredible transfer and one that nobody could ever see coming, leaving Sweden top flight for one of the best clubs in France, the only side within France to win the Champions League, in an exciting new project under Roberto De Zerbi. Derek Cornelius hit the jackpot. It was an exciting transfer, and Marseille signed the Canadian international center back, at the time at 26 years old, he's now 27, for a fee of €4 million. It was a bargain fee, as Derek Cornelius has been playing incredibly well at the international level under Jesse Marsch and with the Canadian national team, and signing him was very exciting for Canadians. Once he went to Marseille with De Zerbi, it was always the question of, would he consistently play? Was it a smart move club-wise and club fit? Was he going to earn the starting minutes? And immediately that question was answered. Roberto De Zerbi saw him as a great option to start in the starting 11, as Derek Cornelius this season has been one of his go-to center backs for Roberto De Zerbi. Having 6 starts in 9 matches, having 554 minutes is truly incredible for Derek Cornelius, as he went from Sweden top flight to starting consistently for one of the best clubs in France, which is remarkable. After this season so far, midway through the year in Liga, in French football, he's also, we got to remember, gone through a major injury, and a decent injury, which held him back for a few weeks. And since that injury, he has come back, and immediately Roberto De Zerbi has thrown him on for minutes off the bench to get him back and get him back into football, which is fantastic, which shows Roberto De Zerbi wants to get his minutes up, wants to get him back into the starting 11, and just shows that Roberto De Zerbi believes in Derek Cornelius and believes in his ability and knows he is a starting center back for him. And yes, you got to look at Marseille's other options. They have Boleri, the Argentinian center back. They have Lilian Brassier. They have some decent options there as well. But when he's one of 2 or 3 options in a team that's fighting for European football, he's going to be in the mix. likes, he's going to be starting consistently. And yes, he's had bumps along the way, whether small injuries, whether picking up a red card, but ever since those bumps in the roads have happened, De Zerbi has backed Derek Cornelius. And it's extremely exciting to see, and that is why he's above Mathieu Choinière. He's above Theo Bair. He is even above Ismail Koné. And that is why Derek Cornelius to Marseille is my second favorite Canadian transfer of the year. Number one should come no surprise to anyone, and that is Moise Bombito. Moise Bombito should be every Canadian's top transfer of the year, and if it isn't, I'm very confused. As Moise Bombito is one of the craziest career paths in the world of football, not just Canadian football, in football in general. As he left Colorado Rapids for OGC Nice in the summer for a fee of €7 million. And that came about all because of that French-Canadian friendly in Bordeaux, where a lot of Canadians were put on the shop window from an incredible performance, and Moise Bombito was the starlet of that performance, in my opinion. Locking down some of the best attackers in world football, he was immense, and that earned him that transfer to OGC Nice. And OGC Nice, in the summer, were going through a wholesale changes, losing players like Khéphren Thuram to Juventus, as well the player that Moise Bombito was brought in to replace, in Jean-Claire Todibo, who left to West Ham United. And when you're looking at club fit, this made completely a lot of sense for the likes of Moise Bombito. A player looking to make that massive change to European football, to a top 5 league, to a major team, got the opportunity with a team who doesn't really have many center backs on their roster. Including Bombito, they have 4 center backs, touted as center backs, on their roster in a 3-back system. And Moise Bombito came in to replace Jean-Claire Todibo, a big task. And he has done that incredibly well. Filling in now already as a fan favorite, he has now become a club favorite, and he could be also, if he keeps up this form, in the team of the season for Liga if he continues playing this well and even improves into 2025, which a lot of people expect him to do so. Filling in for Jean-Claire Todibo was never going to be an easy ask, but he did it immensely well. And he continues to play great football, impressing week on week. Yes, OGC Nice are going through a horrid run of form, but they were never going to be a great club this season, losing so many top players, losing so much experience. And the way Bombito has stepped into that central center-back role has been incredible to watch. Watching OGC Nice with Moise Bombito, mostly watching Moise Bombito because OGC Nice aren't a great side to watch play football, has been so fun to watch. A Canadian thrive at the top level, having a centre-back who is so good. And now when you look at that Canadian national team, you look at midfield, attackers, and you look at defenders. I never would have expected in my lifetime to see that our best department in our national team is the back line. Due to Moise Bombito, Derek Cornelius, Alistair Johnston, Alphonso Davies, it is exciting. And what Moise Bombito will bring in 2025 is anyone's guess. With Gold Cup, with Nations League, with OGC Nice, Moise Bombito has the world ahead of him. And I think his transfer already has been incredible for OGC Nice, starting games endlessly, being the star player of OGC Nice. And this is a transfer which you could see him moving on to the Premier League in a year or two's time, or even to La Liga or a Bundesliga, to a top side. He has the potential, he has the ability. You can even see OGC Nice fans talking about, not just Canadian fans who love Bombito, also Liga supporters. So Moise Bombito to OGC Nice is my top Canadian transfer of the year, and it should be your guys' as well. But guys, let me know what your guys' thoughts on the video. It's been a decently long one, but I wanted to give you guys my top 5 Canadian transfers of the year, especially with the year ending, because there were so many Canadian transfers this year, surprisingly 18 of them, whether it was youth players, academy players, Canadian men's national team players, MLS players. There was a lot of transfers. So I'd love to hear your guys' reactions to the video, to your rankings as well. Drop a like, hit that sub button, guys, because the support has been incredible. Let's continue moving on. Let's continue smashing the subs, and let's have a great 2025. And I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.